thank you all for being here today. This has been an event that the Select Board asked us to present so that there could be an open conversation about the upcoming position of Town Manager in spring of 2026. We're hoping this will be a thoughtful exchange with ideas that are non-confrontational and are in this setting, and not an opportunity to complain about past issues, but rather an opportunity to come up with new ideas and new approaches that are positive and supportive of Windsor and the future of Windsor. So Mary McNaughton and Emma Caffrey are here as our Select Board representatives. We have a microphone which we will pass around so people can speak into it because of the fact that it's kind of echoey in here. And again, this is so that Windsor On Air can promote this and people in the community can hear about the issues as well. So thank you again for being here. We hope to end at 11:30 at the latest, so for anybody who plans, and we appreciate the Select Board being involved.
Thank you, Sally, very much. And thank you everybody for coming out. We have been working for this summer to try and reach out to as many people as we can in town and see, what do you think? What have we learned from Tommy? Like what can we do better with who we're hiring? What do you want to see? And so a lot of the feedback that we've gotten has been really, really wide ranging. One thing that people spoke a lot about is just somebody that is really good at infrastructure and making sure that the town keeps running, like the water system and the roads, which are very interesting here in Windsor. The sidewalks, when I got on the Select Board 3 years ago, when I was sweet and naive, I was like, we're gonna get all the sidewalks fixed, and that has not happened. I really desperately want it to, because the Windsor Loop is such a big part of this town. I'm not gonna say I think, it is a big part of this town, and there's a lot of people that walk it, and there's a lot of people that are in wheelchairs or that have walkers, or they have to go off the road off the sidewalk into the road, and like when they're trying to go to Cumbies to get like a coffee, which is awful. So it's the sidewalks. I hear, yes. I'm gonna stop talking for a minute.
I don't have much to add to that, except that we have seen some common themes throughout the little outreaches that we have done, and we're in the process of kind of putting them all together, and we will share that at a future Select Board meeting. But we'd just like to hear what you would like to see, and what kind of person would you like to have, what kind of qualities. Where might you see Windsor in the next 5 to 10 years? Are there certain characteristics you'd like the town to represent? Which is basically a question that I took from the library survey, because it was such a good question. What are characteristics you'd like to see in Windsor in those amount of years in the future?
Does anybody have any?
Some of the storefronts occupy.
Well, use the microphone so that
I think they can hear me. I was a cheerleader.
No, it's for the.
it's for
Windsor
On Air,
Air.
so that's
For
it.
everyone.
Oh, I think that maybe some of the storefronts, the empty storefronts, and I think that covers infrastructure, I think, if that's what you're saying.
I think when I say infrastructure, I mean more like I do mean more stuff like the sidewalks and the roads and the water system. For what you're talking about is like you want somebody that's business friendly and somebody that wants to help the new businesses that are in town. I have good news, which is there are programs that are working in Windsor. WIC, the Windsor Improvement Committee, the town funds, and they have been working, like they freshen up things around the town to make it look really beautiful. Was that Windsor? WIC? Was that WIC? Okay, I love you. I'm sorry. And there was a project done to help businesses get new signs, like better storefront signs, so things look better. I'm really happy to say that Cassie's Resale Boutique, who everybody should go to, does a fabulous, fabulous thrift store, is getting more foot traffic in Windsor because of also Thrive, which is another new thrift store that's in Ascutney. And because people can hit both, we're getting we're getting more waves of people are saying, oh, this is a really great community. And it's not just Harpoon, it's also downtown Windsor for what that block is. So yay, we hear you about the business part.
Some of the challenges too about downtown and filling the empty buildings is they're privately owned by people. And the town has no control of the rents that are being charged and the landlords. So that's why there are some issues in certain areas and why things aren't filled.
Yes, and I'm Donna Slaney, and I chair Windsor Improvement Corporation. Thank you for the comments. Yes, we do the flowers, we put the flowers out, we're gonna, those flowers that are out there now are gonna stay for a while. Anybody who would like to help Tom Frisbee, this wonderful man who goes around and waters, and we even bought a little machine that we could drive, off-road kind of thing, drive around town to make it easier to go from. Of course, down here at the parking lot, we have this big area where our sign is, at the old Goodyear, and so all the flower pots around, and we try to keep them going. And I'll get it closer to my mouth. Okay, does that work? So anyhow, yeah, we do that, and then we did do the signage thing. We're trying to get people to think about sign and make sure that they get a sign that's appropriate for the business, but we could help them out. And we've raised how much money we would give for that to happen. We have a number of different projects going on, and so one thing, infrastructure is important, but then of course that relies on a lot of federal and state funds, and we don't know where all that's going to now. But that's been an issue. But I have to hand it to Tom Marsh. I think he's done a good job with his newsletter, getting information out, going out, making TV shows, telling different things. I'd like to see that continue, that kind of conversation going on. And then the other thing is to focus on the infrastructure, but more importantly about the community infrastructure. If we help us build community, you look at West Windsor and see what they have done with the mountain over the years, over that devastating kind of thing of losing the mountain and skiing, but they're really going so strong with what they've done with the mountain and the infrastructure, or the things that are going on there. This new park down here, is going to be a wonderful venue, so I think somehow making sure that we kind of pull ourselves together and get behind the community, however possible that could be for someone to do. I just wanted to add that to my sense. Okay, thank you. Thank you. And furthermore, I have to say thank you very much to the board for doing this. You guys are yeomen. I mean, you've done a yeoman's job going out and talking to people, and I hope we get more and more.
Mary is.
Mary's at fault. Okay.
No.
No, thank you for.
Mary is a fabulousness.
I know.
I really like what you just said about the mountain in West Windsor, and I think what you're talking about is somebody that sees Windsor as a place with yes, we have these businesses, but we also have these really beautiful free spaces where we're not, it's not necessarily a business, it's a beautiful park, or it's like Kennedy Pond, it's a beautiful place to spend time. And I feel like what they've done, I don't know what the Windsor version of that is, but I see what you're talking about, and I like that a lot. And I was gonna say that one thing you said is a piece of feedback we haven't gotten yet, which is how communicative Tom is. And he really does put as a priority making sure everybody knows everything, and that's when he gets heated at meetings, is when he's like, I had that on the website, I had that on the Facebook, I had that on Windsor on Air, I did everything besides come to your house and tell you. That's when he gets frustrated, because he does make it a point to do that. So I feel like I didn't think about that before, so I'm happy you said that.
And that's true. That's true. And I can understand that frustration, because I felt that myself in the past, and I tend to get a little antsy about it, but, you know, how, I can't get you to read it, what can I do? You
Yeah.
know, turn on the TV and watch it, yeah, that can be very frustrating, so, but keeping that in mind that
Yeah.
going forward.
Community engagement has been one of the common threads too that we've discovered from people. They'd like to see more events. There is a lot going on in Windsor, and even it goes back to that issue, like the Historical Society does walks, whether it's gardens or old homes, they have one coming up. How do you get the word out there? I think there's so many people that don't know what we have going on even. So that's always a challenge, because there is a lot, just not everybody knows about it somehow, and I don't know what the answer is to all of that. And it does make you feel like you're hitting your head against the wall a lot of the time if you're involved in these projects, so.
I have a question rather than a comment. My name's Brian Porto, and my question is, what is your plan for advertising for a new town manager? I assume there must be publications or professional publications for folks who do this sort of work. What's the advertising plan for finding somebody, and what are the criteria? Do you have a certain number of years of experience that you're looking for in a town manager, that sort of thing?
I definitely think, in terms of the advertisement approach, we have been all looking at and kind of sending back and forth any ads that we're seeing from other towns. There's a lot of people looking for town managers in Springfield, and I think Mary, she's got the Springfield ad right here. So like this kind of stuff we're looking at, and we're seeing maybe how do we want to design it. There's going to be like a copywriting part where we figure out how to say beautiful town of Windsor, blah, 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 blah. But there's a lot of places that we already know where we can post advertisements. And right now we, at the last meeting, decided we are all gonna hire a consultant to get the town manager, which, to be honest with you, at the beginning of this process, I was like, we don't need a consultant, we can do that. And I will say that I primarily interview, and as a manager, I've always done all the interviews, but I'm willing to admit that maybe I don't have the interview skills for a town manager search. So I think it's the right choice. I don't necessarily love the idea of having to pay to do that, but at the same time, I would much rather the transition from Tom go smoothly. So we have a list of consultants that possibilities and like ideas about how much that would cost, which I believe we can share with you if you want to reach out to us. But that's going to be our approach for now. And we're going to start. One thing that Tom has tried to kind of point out to us is that our search while we're figuring this part out is going to end up being much longer than the actual advertising and hiring process, because people aren't wanting to start a job in 6 months. They're wanting to start a job like
Right away.
now. Yes, we got bills. The fuel bills are coming. Does
Okay.
that kind of answer your question?
Well, you answered the next question I was going to ask, which is great. And that is, I was going to suggest that, or I was going to ask whether you could use the consultant to design the ad.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think that's probably part of it, and there's different tiers of consulting things that we're looking at, like if you pay this much, you get this kind of service, if you pay this much. For instance, like the town of Springfield, we just got this, Tom had sent it to everybody, it's like a 2-page flyer ad, I'm not sure what you want to call it, about what their expectations are for a town manager. This gentleman is leaving December of this year, and this just went out 2 days ago, being advertised. So that's kind of tells you we got plenty of time as far as when we start actually promoting the ad. But there's a lot of great information on this, and I would think the consultant would have a lot to do with putting this together with us too.
And I would also say that I also initially in this process, I was like, we need a lot of crossover. I want them to be able to work together for like a month. And that's not gonna be a good idea. That's not gonna be a good idea. So if he's retiring in June, I think we would start, my guess is in like to look or to start advertising?
I would think after the holidays,
Yeah.
right after the holidays, we'd start doing something.
Okay.
One more short question, and that is, in this process, are you going to be looking for somebody with, say, 2 to 5 years' experience, or would you be willing to take someone who has less than that?
Do you know somebody?
No.
Okay.
No,
I,
I'm not volunteering and I don't know anybody.
no, the
I'm just
reason
curious.
I didn't really think about that, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know that I would feel the requirement to have somebody with like over 10 or 15 years, but I would like somebody that has
some experience.
a little dirt on their boots to come into
At
a
least you'll
town.
get relevant references that
Yeah.
way.
Oh yes, and I think with the way that this town is and how like passionate people are and they get riled up, like we need somebody that is going to be able to.
Nothing has
You
been
know?
decided as far as the years of experience. I mean, we haven't really, I think that'll come when we decide what kind of ad we'll be doing to promote.
How many years' experience is Springfield? Do they say? 3 to 5? I think that's.
It's a lot, it's a 2-page thing, so I'm not sure. I've read it over once, but it's been a while.
You have to memorize. Previous experience as a manager or department head in a full-service community. So that's a little vague, but also a little specific. A bachelor's degree is required. Previous leadership experience in a dynamic public organization is required. Yeah, I think that's like softly written enough to say you
Need experience.
a little bit. And I think it's, from what I've understood over the past 30 silly years of me trying to do this, is that like it is very complicated to run a town. There's a lot of cash flow that you need to understand. That's something I'm concerned about, is finding someone that is the ultimate package of going to be able to plan out how we're going to get the roads fixed and how we're going to fix the sidewalks when it's ungodly expensive to breathe. And also like keep it running. And then the cash flow part of it has been one of the weirdest things for me to understand, and frankly I don't 100% understand it anyway because I'm an artist, but Tom is on top of that and keeping us in a place where we're not dying anymore in terms of our financial situation. So somebody that is artful in their money management.
I think we're looking definitely too for someone who's going to be the right fit, not just the experience, not just one thing, but who will be the right fit for the town. Hopefully, if we're interviewing, we're going to, some light bulb will go off. None of us know because none of us have ever been in this position before. I think we all know when we see it, but who knows?
I'm excited to meet these people that want to come here and be in this community. Like, I think it's going to be interesting to see if we're not going to find another Tom. That Tom Marsh is a singular kind of guy. So we're going to find something really different, and that's going to be weird for a hot minute. But I think maybe one of the biggest things that I would love to see is just somebody that can kind of handle the energy that this town brings and can kind of say, this is because people, there's something in the water and people are very, very passionate here in Windsor.
Hi. My name is Sherry Greeley, and I don't think we can overstate the importance of communication. And communication not only about what's happening in town and when, but communication one-on-one with individual residents of Windsor. And that communication piece is important, as well as follow-up. So it would be nice to find somebody who has those qualities.
Like when people are reaching out to the town, like is that something that you have found Tom is not really like communicating as well as he should
Well,
with
we're
towns?
not talking about the past.
Okay, we're talking about the- okay, I love you.
We're talking about the future, and
Okay.
it's just something that I look forward to in the future. I also would like to have a pickleball court in town.
Pickleball. Me too.
I heard they're really loud though.
Yeah, but on the tennis courts, who cares? I mean, if there's
No, I know.
Well, we have 2 new ones up at the fairgrounds, just not in town.
Yeah.
There's 2, yeah. They,
Are they on the tennis courts?
Yes.
they divided it up, I think, a tennis court.
The basketball court.
But
It's on the basketball court, I just heard from a little
It's
birdie,
not on the tennis court, it's on the basketball courts.
Next to the old skate park.
next to the old skate park.
How long has this been there?
Oh, they just lined it the last couple of weeks, you know.
Okay.
They had paved it and done all that, but they just put the lines or whatever you need. I'm not familiar with pickleball, but
Yeah,
they finished it.
They heard your longing for the floor.
So it's only been a short time, Sherry.
Okay, yay, well, we're doing such a good job.
yeah.
You have a question, George.
I do. George Funk. It seems that from the last select board meeting and from what I've read over the last 2 or 3 years, is that the pool of qualified town managers is slim. So with that in mind, and another go along those lines, is up in Woodstock, the town manager there who's been there for maybe 2 or 3 years has been instrumental in a $5 million lawsuit against him and the town.
That's an
So-
incredible way to say
so-
that.
So what they ended up doing, they gave him $10,000 as a bonus 2 weeks ago. And all that can tell me is that they don't want to make a change because that supply of town managers is so limited. So that's the route that they decided to go. I mean, as far as Tom's predecessor, on the way out the door, his words of wisdom were, Windsor needs to merge with West Windsor. I'm on the way. So, I mean, there's that kind of talent that's lacking that's out there. So, with that in mind, has there been any consideration about offering Tom, say, $10,000 as a sign-on bonus? Or has he just had it and he's got other plans?
This is an extension, this past contract that he's finishing.
Yeah?
He had been thinking about not staying then,
Right.
keeping the job. So he stayed an extra 3-year contract. So yeah, he's pretty much done.
He's done.
Yeah, he's,
But I don't see him, unless he has plans, I don't see him hanging out.
he's staying
The
in
mind,
Windsor.
the mind is too active.
He's staying in Windsor, but he hasn't said that he has anything in mind. He hasn't shared any plans at this point in time. We do know he has mentioned that if for some reason we find someone and maybe they say they can't start July 1st, you know, and he has to be here longer, month to month or a few months or whatever, he's more than willing to do that to make it work if we run into something like that. But yeah, he's moving on.
I mean, one of his attributes too is that he can navigate the state and national politics. I mean, he has a handle on how that flows. So it's not just even right here.
I said,
You don't think so?
I missed something.
No, I don't know,
Um,
I'm sorry.
I thought we weren't talking about the past.
Okay.
So I think that that's an attribute for who's ever going to take over, is to also have some abilities along those lines.
I think the other theme too is almost everybody said they would love to have somebody that understands a rural community, somebody who is even possibly from the Upper Valley, somebody, you know, just local understands and would understand Windsor. And I think we'd all love that too. It's just going to depend on who applies and what the quality is of who is out there. So people do look at that because they say, I don't want someone from the outside coming from California and then they're going to be in this small town. Well, I don't think any of us are really looking for that, but it's just going to, who are the applicants? Who's out there? And speaking to the other thing that the applicants have dwindled, if you want to use New Hampshire too, Lebanon just hired someone recently. There's, at least New Hampshire, they seem to be getting quite a few applicants at what we've heard, because Tom knows they have monthly meetings with town managers around here. And so he gets us, you know, the lowdown on what's happening. And it seems like there have been quite a few applicants for some of these jobs. Whether the quality of them, I don't know. I couldn't tell you that. But so we're hoping we could, tons of applicants would be great, but who can be sure?
Hi. I'm Walter Stevenson. I just want to say regarding communication and the one-on-one, I mean, for what it's worth, Tom has been, I've only been here a few years, and my interactions in that way have been great. I mean, I've called him or written him, I think writing is better, but about small things like, I like one of those green signs with numbers on it to go in my mailbox. He said, I don't know where they make them, I'll find out. Finds out, gets it, it's great. Similarly, I had a question about why, unfortunately, the pool always, the lake always gets closed on August 1st or whatever. It's like, is it summer? But he got back to me the same day and explained what the thinking was and stuff like that. So I think that quality, along with the newsletter, has been really important to me about communication.
I agree with that about Tom. He is really like, if you ask him, he's gonna figure it out. And I have appreciated that both as a board member and also as a townsperson. And in both arenas, he has always been quick. Sometimes he is a little sassy, but so am I. So I appreciate that about him.
I wonder, maybe I'm sorry we came a little late, but can you tell us
You keep it up.
a little bit about,
Put the microphone right next to you.
can you
Yeah.
please tell us a little bit about how we're advertising the job?
Yes, so right now, we've been looking at a lot of the advertisements from comparable towns or just any kind of bigger, smaller, just to see what other people are doing. And then we, at the last town meeting, decided that we were gonna use a consultant, and Mary, because she is the best, was saying that they have different tiers of what you can do and what you can get from a consultant. I'm sorry. I didn't want to get one at first. I was like, I don't think we need to spend that money. We do. I think we do. I think the town deserves for us to spend that money to make sure we're not, throwing a dart into the wind. And then there's a lot of places like VCLT, which is the VLCT, which is the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, and like places like that, people that want to be town managers go look for hot opportunities.
Hi there. One of the things, first of all, Tom was a transplant from Connecticut, and he adapted to the community. He actually moved here the same month we did in 2011. So yeah, it takes an adjustment to be able to live in a rural community when you come from a major area like New York, Connecticut, like he, or any other state. But yes, he's wonderfully responsive, which has really been a plus. My biggest concern is that we need to perhaps keep the position to be apolitical and to not have any inference of one's political views based on, what you believe, because it is a neutral position and it shouldn't be using the platform of town manager to be able to coerce a particular view on one end or the other. So that's quite important in terms of the future town manager.
That's been brought up before too, a number of times.
Yeah.
And I think most of the board would agree with that also.
I can very safely say all of the board agrees with that, because it's a good idea.
I don't even think it's our job on the board, personally, as a board member, to, we should stay neutral also. I don't think it's necessarily our job.
Well, in the bylaws, there are bylaws, I assume, for the town, that should be perhaps included in terms of how it describes the position of town manager, so that it is now kind of written in stone, and so it's a non-issue. One other point is when a couple of years ago, one of our discussions in the Democratic Committee was about addressing issues of the town, and I love Windsor. I love Windsor. It's a great town. And it was about the blight issue. And we discovered that the laws of Vermont do not allow the control of blight the way it does in other parts of the country. So that prevents Tom, or prevented him from making changes because of the state laws. So that's another thing that maybe just to be aware of. It's preventing why he can't change a lot of the problems in town, because he's dealing with laws that are archaic.
Well, another thing is, it's my understanding that the town manager's position is really outlined by going to the town charter and what his duties are, what he can and can't do. But you are correct that, for instance, the property that was on Central Street that has gotten a lot of attention recently, there are certain things that, you know, townspeople, residents think, oh, the town can just go in and do this, that, and the other, and we can't. We are bound by the state laws, so it can look like they're doing nothing, but there's a process you have to go through, and it's not understandable to, especially if you live in a neighborhood that you're living with, you know, drugs around you. So, yeah, that's a good point for people to understand in the community.
Oh, that would be my suggestion, is that once we're settled in, that we open up the charter. Because the charter is a means by which going around state law. And so I think we should have, you know, because we have issues with our town clerk, it would be nice to be able to say, well, the town clerk can be an appointed position, that kind of thing. So looking at the charter, I think there's some things that need to be changed, but granted, it takes a while and it takes real involvement of the community and a charter committee and, you know, having been at the other end of it in Montpelier and agreeing with charter changes that were brought forward. It's been a while since Windsor has brought a charter change to the legislature, and I think that's something we could look to do.
I've heard about that movement too this past year. It's been talked about. So, and I think it's worth having a conversation with the board about it, whether we should do that or not. But yes, as you know, it's a long process. You have to have so many meetings with the public, and it's got to be on your referendum or your town meeting day, your voting day. Then once you get all of that done, which takes time, it gets sent to the state, and they decide whether it's going to be a yes or a no. So there are some people in town that have mentioned that, to me at least. I don't know if you've heard about that, Emma, but possibility of looking at charter changes. It would seem too much to take on the same year we're doing this, so.
Whenever I've heard anybody talk about a charter change for anything, everybody goes, oh, it's gonna be so hard. And I'm like, well, if it is important, I apologize if this is a silly question, would you be worried about the state rejecting a charter change that makes?
No, because
Okay.
I chaired the committee that generally passed them.
Nice.
The only time our,
I chair the Government Operations Committee where the charter changes go to. And the only time, the idea is to look and see where you're doing something that's totally not feasible and illegal. So for the most part, the Government Operations Committee that looks at it passes the charter change without any issues, and so does the Senate. Just very, very few times that we sent back and said, no, I don't think you can do this. You know, you will wind up in lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. So you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Rutland we sent back once because they were really, they were getting themselves in trouble with the union, with what they were trying to do, and then they changed it around. Burlington a couple times because of their positions on guns and voting and stuff, and then there were a couple other, but for the most part, in the 20 years I was in that committee,
Okay.
we passed.
I know, I was going to be like, how long were you on the committee, but thank you. Okay, so that's heartening. Good.
So, I just wondered if there is a job description that goes with the town manager's position?
I don't know if there's one somewhere in town. I don't know that at all. Can't answer that except to know that what he says the duties and the description would be in the town charter.
How
I'm not
does
sure.
the town manager get evaluated if they don't have a job description?
I'm not saying they don't, I'm saying I don't know what it is. If we have one, I haven't seen it, that's all. Maybe there's a policy book in the town hall, that Tom has that I just haven't seen it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not aware of it. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Are you trying to ask like, hey, what exact qualifications are you guys gonna advertise for?
Yes, and then also it would, I think, be reasonable to have some kind of job description so that you could see what they're
Yeah.
supposed to do. And does the board not evaluate our town manager?
We will. So what's gonna happen is, we can show you this Springfield thing, but basically what we are gonna do is have one of these, will you hand this, I'm sorry, thank you, teamwork. We're gonna have one of those gussied up and made in a Windsor version with the same kind of like,
When it's time.
when it is time and when we are closer. What would be helpful, I would love, is if you have time to like let us know what you would like to be, what those qualifications or specifications you want to see in there. We haven't made it yet. So like we can get, I think definitely like we're going to be mentioning the business friendly part. We're going to like, cause that's what we've heard. We're going to be mentioning somebody that has some experience, because that's what we've heard again. And the communication part, like that's what we'll have in our little flowery paragraphs that go through to, cause that's the format that is used for these things. We have seen many of these lovely brochures for town manager positions.
And I think too that we definitely are all in agreement that we should be evaluating once a year like other employees.
That's right.
I don't know what's happened totally in the past because I just got on the board, but in general, yes, I believe they should have some kind of a one-on-one with the board and some kind of evaluation. Maybe it's the people under them weigh in on something. I don't know what that looks like either. I don't have any of that paperwork. But,
I will say as a board member, if there's something, I call Tom and I say, I don't like that this happened, or I don't like the way that you handled that. I would, and he'll say whatever he wants to say back to me, but like that is what our job is I'm from Louisiana, and somebody was like, what is a select board? What does that mean? And I was like, it's kind of like a way more serious student council for the town, where we have the town manager that does the nuts and bolts and little things, and we're the five-headed monster that says, well, I know what the people are saying. So like, we need somebody that's going to be able to handle the feedback of 5 people.
another point that's come up, it's been a common thread, is that people would like to see the select board have more of oversight of the town manager than what has had in the past. This isn't to bring up past specific things, but a lot of times over the years, boards have just kind of gone along with things, and the manager manages, and you get the information that they give you. Sometimes you don't always have all the information because they're the manager. You only know what you're being told. But over the years, people have said, geez, I really wish the board had more oversight of a town manager in general.
I think it's hard if you don't have a job description that tells you what the person is supposed to be doing. I mean, I come from the school system, and I come from a high-level place in the school system. I had people evaluating me under me and above me, and I had a very specific job description.
Yes.
And they used it, to evaluate me every single year.
Well, like I said, I'm sure there is one. I haven't laid my eyes on.
I don't care about past, I'm talking in the future.
Right.
In the future, our new town
I
manager.
agree.
Yeah,
There should be a job description.
yeah, and then you can evaluate from the job description, it makes your job easier. I have a very loud voice, I think everybody can hear me.
No, it's for Windsor on air.
Windsor on
air so they can pick it up, yeah.
I can hear everybody.
Those people needed to have chilled out on you. They said they needed to have chilled out when they were evaluating you. I think they were being intense. Did you have a question?
So I just want to follow up, Mary, with what you were saying about the relationship between the select board and the town manager. and people have suggested that the select board be a little more overt, let's say. And so what is the board's thinking about that? How are you thinking about that, and what kind of a relationship do you want to have with the town manager?
Well, I will let you know that different configurations of the board have also talked to town employees during this process. We've all have to be careful because only two of us can go at a time, but we've been collecting information from them also, which is very enlightening too with this whole process because they're the ones dealing with that position a lot. I personally would like to know a lot more about how the town runs going forward. I feel like sometimes I don't really get enough information at times. And that's not a criticism of town or whatever, it's just the way things are. I don't know what the process has been because I've never been here before. But I'm not sure, Sherry. I've been thinking about that.
Ask that question again. I like the question that you asked. Sorry.
What would the select board, what kind of relationship would the select board like to have with the town manager in terms of the recommendations that it become a little more for
Hands-on.
Hands-on.
Yes.
Right.
I think that as board members, what we can do is ask questions. Like we were saying, why are we doing this? Why are we spending money on this? Are we sure we should be investing in this certain area in the town, like in the ambulances or in something like, you know what I mean? So that's what we are trying to do is just say, wait, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Why are you doing it? What if we did this? But at the same time, like, I work in a warehouse. I don't supervise the police. So, he's the manager of the police department and he's the manager of the fire department. And it's like, there's a lot of choices that he makes that I'm not going to understand how to make, but he's really good at communicating like why he is doing things. And I think the relationship that I would like to have with the new town manager and that the select board should have is just like a lot of transparency. And Tom is pretty good about that when he wants to be. And I think that as long as the select board is doing their job of trying to say like, why is this happening? Where is this coming from? Why are we putting more money here and not here? Then we'll be doing our job, and we need somebody that's okay with being questioned and does not get defensive, which can be difficult.
I think that's a good point. I think sometimes in the past, because I've lived in Windsor a long time, certain boards at times haven't always asked enough questions. Maybe that's it. Maybe the crux of it. That's why I'm trying to figure it out for myself. And that's why I didn't have a great answer. But I think we need to ask more questions. And we need to know what are the right questions we should be asking. And that, I think, gets me hung up sometimes. Maybe I'm not asking the right question. Maybe I'm totally off. But I think the more we ask, the better off we'll be. And yes, I think we need to have someone that's going to be okay with that and not look at it as they're being micromanaged.
When people ask us why something is happening, we want to have a good answer. Yes. You have a question?
I have a question about the timeline. I didn't know that it wasn't started yet, so I have two questions, so that's my first question.
So the timeline is going to look like the biggest part of this process has been trying to get as much public feedback as humanly possible. And that's what kind of we've been working on this summer. And then we're probably going to advertise starting after the holidays. Tom's leaving in June. What we've seen over looking at different hiring processes in the surrounding areas is it's like 3 months, 3 to 6 months, like between advertising and hiring and starting the process. So I think there's also there's scuttlebutt amongst the town managerial community. My guess is because it's Tom Marsh and he's leaving and people know he's leaving. So I think word of mouth advertising has probably already been well underway, but we'll have our gussied up sheet ready.
I feel like maybe we could do a little bit of a stronger, like, pre-announcement, than just let there be scuttlebutt, but.
Oh,
like,
no, babe, we're gonna do a full
now.
advertising
No, but I
campaign.
mean, I know, but I mean, prior to that, like this fall, just put the word out in an intentional way. I don't know whether that's social media or some state level or a small advertisement or something, just saying like in the spring, Windsor is gonna be doing that, because actually, 3 to 6 months doesn't seem that long to me.
Well, Tom has been guiding us through the timeline,
Okay.
and as I
And that's what
mentioned
we've
before,
seen.
that you don't want to start getting too much out there too soon, because people aren't going to be that interested. They'll forget about it if it's too soon, because they're not going to wait 6 months for a job. You know, if they got to wait too long, you lose people that way, kind of thing. So
I mean, you might also gain people who are planning on an academic year or something like that. I think, like,
what do you mean
college,
by-
school, academic applications, there's all kinds of application processes.
We could
that
send
start
I mean,
in the fall.
yeah,
via
we don't have a
CT.
firm timeline. We have a vague timeline that we're being advised on. So that's kind of what we're following.
So that's what I'm just saying, that somebody who plans a year ahead, might appreciate knowing that it's, and you can never tell when something's gonna come to somebody's attention. If you concentrate it all in a concentrated period of time, you gain some things, you might lose some things.
There's nothing that says we can't reach out to VLCT, which is the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, and have them just do like a blurb.
Yeah.
I hear you, I hear you.
Also, the other thing I wanted to say was, regarding communication, I feel like, maybe there could be some improvement in, a summarized, like what happened the last month or something. Like Tom Marsh's newsletter is very granular and looks the same every time, and if there were like, what hot topics, what happened last month, either from the select board or in the front porch forum or something, and I would also be willing to help with that if help is desired, but I feel like I heard you say that even you feel like you could know more information, and I don't know, I never go to the monthly board meetings, maybe I should, but I did volunteer for the finance committee, so I know some things, so.
I will say in terms of select board meeting accessibility is
You can remote into it, and somebody once came for like an announcement at the beginning, and I was you, and I was like, do you want to leave? Because you can, it was just like the beginning part of the meeting, and they go on, so you can like, just come in for like, and there's a part of the beginning, public comments, you can say, I saw X, Y, and Z, and it made me feel X, Y, and Z, and then hang up on us and go have dinner. So that, I so encourage people not necessarily to hang up on us, but to remote in when you can, just to participate. And
I would encourage people to come to the meetings remotely or in person. And if you do come in even for a comment, I'm going to go as far as to say it would be nice if people stayed after they said what bothered them, so they could understand how this works. And you really don't get a good understanding for how the government works in Windsor unless you attend meetings. I mean, I've been attending meetings before I got on the board for 5 years, diligently. And here you have me saying, I still don't understand some ins and outs sometimes of how things work. So there's a lot more to it, and if people were more engaged, it would be so helpful. And I know I'm probably preaching to the choir because you are here and you are engaged, but I'm going to put it out there anyway, as much as I don't get negative feedback for that one. But more people need to be involved, and it would be nice to have them consistently involved in general. I'll get off my pulpit now.
Good morning. I appreciate the select board is reaching out to the community to ask their input. There's been a lot of talk about qualifications of this individual. And think qualifications are aspirational, and Bonnie brought up the issue of job description, and job description is about responsibilities as opposed to qualifications. And I think it would help us to give the feedback that you're looking for if we had both access to a copy of that part of the charter that specifically states the responsibilities of the town manager, as well as what the current job description is. There has to be, it sounds like not everyone is aware of it, but there has to be a job description. And so it would be also helpful for us in giving you the feedback here if we had access to that job description.
To add to that, I just looked up Windsor, Vermont Town Charter, and it popped right up. And right in there, it does say everything about what the town manager is responsible for, what the select board is responsible for. And I think it would be helpful if everybody in town who's interested and involved just look at the charter, because like I said, I think we need to re-up it and maybe add to it somewhat. So anyhow, just FYI.
Thank you, Donna. Because it is, you need to go look at it, and it's
Right.
there.
Right.
available
It's all
already.
Am I on? Yeah. I think when you're thinking about all the different parts that would make him the town manager, the number one thing that you have to never lose focus is that he or she has to be a leader. And what comes with being a leader is making not only tough decisions, but not being pushed around, but being receptive. But a leader has to lead, and you can't take the rug underneath their feet and expect to have a good result.
I think you're talking about not micromanaging.
Yeah, you're talking about we shouldn't micromanage them.
Correct. But they also have to be, not only not micromanage, but they've got to be able to stand up and say, this is the way to go, because this is the way I see it. Now, you might not disagree, you might not agree.
No, George, can I tell you something? I have been in supervisory and managerial roles since I was 22 years old. You're totally right. And as a person that's been in that position for such a long time, I'm an eldest daughter, which is why I am the way I am. I absolutely never want to undermine Tom, no matter, he makes me mad. You make me mad, Tom. But I don't want to undermine him at all, because he is a good leader, and especially with a new person coming in. I myself 100% agree with you, and I can tell you right now that if I feel anybody on the board is doing that, I will fuss at them, because that would not be helpful in a situation that we need to work. We need this to go well.
A common thread we've had here in two different spots that we've gathered under personal and leadership traits. This is what people have told us: approachable, empathetic, visible in the community, attending events, engaging directly with residents, politically neutral in day-to-day operations, honest and straightforward, willing to deliver hard truths without sugarcoating, and committed to Windsor understanding the unique nature of a small town. That's been the thread that we've gotten so far in the community under that particular section.
I also love that you said at the job description, or description was aspirations. I thought that was really funny. I thought that was funny.
May I say something?
Yes.
Because I feel that I'm sort of surprised at the lack of definition of the town manager position and its relationship to the select board, which I would assume the town manager is an employee of the town of Windsor. You represent the community of Windsor, therefore you are the people in charge of the town manager.
Yes.
And yes, we need leadership. We need somebody who's able to be strong and a decision maker.
Mm-hmm.
But you as a board, I almost feel that it's the tail wagging the dog versus you being the dog. And, you know, you need to, that in and of itself in the definition should be much clearer, that you are the employer of this person who is an employee of the town and having job descriptions, which is incredible. I mean, and I agree with Bill as well as, you know, that has to be a highly defined position and there that they have to conform to. So I'm sort of surprised that there isn't that dynamic right now.
All I have been told since I've gotten on the board is that they, as people were like, Tom is not your boss, you are Tom's boss.
Yes.
Yes. And I
But
think
the
that's
conversation seems to lend itself to, you know, and God bless him, he's great, okay? And yes, it's managing. The other thing as well is transferring leadership from one to another, okay? The new town manager should be completely allowed to build his own boat, you know, and run it the way he wants to. It would, or she. The point, though, is that they should be given information of what has happened prior to them, so they're truly familiar with the dynamics of the town, you know, whether it's documentation or, you know, a memory stick with all the things that have gone on, so that they can be aware of it, but then they can build their own process from that point. But anyway, I'm sorry.
No, I think you're speaking to why I mentioned oversight from the select board. I think that was people's polite way of saying they want to see the select board be more aware of what's happening. So your point is well taken, Sally. I think we're all like on the same page, but trying to say it in very nice and articulate ways.
You know, Donna just showed me the charter, and I just read through it very quickly. I actually was shocked at how empowered you are as a board to oversee the town manager and to come forward with things that you feel that are important for our town, being out there.
I know, look you.
Yeah, oh, that's okay. You know, I mean, when you read it, I think you'll be surprised.
No, this whole process has been very enlightening to all of us.
Yeah.
In a lot of different aspects.
Yeah.
I think you'll see things change. I think it's a great opportunity for this board, whoever is the new town manager, to be in a very unique position that we can all learn together rather than, you know, it's great that Tom has been here as long as he has, but we can start at a new zero level base field. There is no misconceptions about who that person is. They don't know who we are. You know, when you live in a town for many years and you're working here, I think, you know, things change in a way. But I think this is a great opportunity with a new person in the board starting from ground zero.
And just one more point, also, perhaps when people are running for the select board, one of the suggestions is that they really should be reading the town charter, because I looked it up another time a few years ago, you know, that they should be familiar with how the town operates, because again, the responsibility of the select board members is to represent the town. And so it is an obligation, and it would be better, it's not just, I'm gonna sit on a chair. You have to really know what's in that document so you can operate more effectively.
I agree with you on all those points. I think the problem with running for select board in any town, and at least especially in this, I've been around town for quite a few years myself, is that it's hard to get anybody to run. I mean, I thought I was running against someone and then they pulled out, did something different, and then I ran unopposed. I was looking forward to running against somebody so that people had a choice. But every year, for at least the last 5 years that I've been actively involved, it is impossible to get people to run. So you don't have any choice who runs. And a lot of times, to be brutally honest, It's someone coming up to you and saying, geez, you've attended meetings and you'd be good, you should join the board. And then, all their friends come and they ask you. And a lot of times that's how people get on the board. They just run and they have no idea that we've had people running the board in the past who never even came to meetings, didn't even watch the meetings, and then had to sit through a candidate forum and try to answer questions about the town. I mean, I've sat in that audience and thought, wow, but if you run unopposed, you can get on. So it's a learning curve for some people. I just bided my time because I really wanted to wait to feel like I kind of knew how things worked before I threw my hat in the ring. And this seemed like the right time for me. But I mean, that's all personal things. If more people were engaged, it would be so much better and run, whether it's select board, whether it's a school board, it's the same issue on these boards. Oh, I'm on my pulpit again, sorry.
That's okay.
Any other comments or questions after seems like I scolded everybody?
No, Mary speaks passionately about this because Mary is very good at doing this and everyone should respect her.
I'm just passionate about it. I would be this way even if I wasn't on the board. I'd be sitting over there telling people the same thing. And as everybody's laughing, they know that's true.
I just have to say, out of my years of a political whatever, I was on the select board, the legislature, and now the select board is without a doubt the hardest job. So you have a hard job, and I thank you all and the whole board for standing up and being there and doing it. There's no doubt that it's a difficult job. You'll never be right. Whatever you do. She says the first thing you have to learn, and then you get the thick skin and say, oh, okay, yep, you're right, I'm wrong, okay, no, you're never right, because there's always somebody out there that say, even though you think you have the best idea, like I did one time, was we should evaluate the police chief. I was told, no, you can't do that. Okay, all right, why can't you? But yes, you're never right, but that's okay. Thank you for doing the work. And thank you again for coming out and taking your time and being all over town and asking people to tell us what you want, okay? And don't come and complain to me afterwards, but you tell us what you want. Thank you.
We did both, and that's okay.
We were just saying at the last board meeting, we've really enjoyed this. It's been fun. I think it's fun. I know the other board members who have done it too think the same thing. It's been really, really good to come out, to have people see our faces, because somebody who I met that was fairly new to town, Camille, had said, I don't even know these board members' names. I don't know a face. And because we'd say, come up and talk to us if you see us walking around town. And she said, I wouldn't know who you are, so why would I talk to you and ask you these things? And it made us realize that people don't have faces with our names, which means people aren't watching the meetings once again. But I mean, this has been really, really good, and I've enjoyed myself, totally. It's been the best part, really, since I got on
the rainy
board.
summer. I would totally echo that. I think there's been a lot of stuff, a lot of things that never crossed my mind, which is exactly why we did this, that I was like, including this meeting. So I do really appreciate y'all's time as well.
This year.
Oh, no, my spouse here was just saying that you guys could walk around with ceremonial sashes.
We got business
at
cards.
the Autumn Moon Festival, for example. Jen used to walk around like.
None of us
or
are
even-
ever be Jen, okay?
No, I
She
know,
was
I
the
know.
best of us.
But even a name tag,
Yeah.
the select board would be. I just love museums where they have a sign that says "Ask me."
Yes, we should,
Yeah.
I would do that. I could do paper mache.
Well, I was going to say, if you really wanted a sash, the only one I know that would be really willing to do it would be this one.
How dare you? That's true, I would. I'll make one.
Don't give me a sash. There's no way I'm wearing a sash.
But it's true, if you had a select board and a name at the Autumn Moon Festival,
Yeah.
that would be fantastic.
We're lucky we even got business cards recently.
Oh, you
We
want
just had
you want
these for
somebody
a
to
couple of
help make
weeks.
a name badge?
Do you have like,
Yeah.
tell
We have the skills.
okay, we'll talk to you after the meeting.
Okay.
I don't want to be pink. Okay.
So we just got business cards. And that was from asking quite often, so.
In an effort to,
get our names
Yes.
and our faces out there. So, yeah, we don't own name tags.
yet. Cool. Does anybody else feel like they have any questions or any feedback? George.
Just one aspect. Am I on?
Yep.
Is that one nuts and bolt item that I think that would be important to run by the new candidate is how well they can grasp, well, this is what I was thinking about state and national politics, is how quickly they can grab onto grant money. I mean, that has made a significant difference. And even though it's one item, it's one big item. So I think that would be a question to ask the.
It's on the list.
Okay. Anybody else?
Okay. So anyway, if anybody has no more questions, which is fine, and we can leave a little early, we really appreciate you participating in the event, and I'm hoping that this will be beneficial for the town as well, because now they'll be able to hear all of this on Windsor on Air, and it'll be out there, especially the appeal for people to be involved and to be more committed to the town's future.
I know I'm always the person that as soon as I leave a room, I remember the last question I wanted to ask. So Mary and I have business cards, and we would love for you to grab them and send us an email.
I was gonna say, an email, write to us if you have other thoughts.
Yes, please.
We are looking in our email, we are sharing the email, we are collating it all together so we can have something more concise to see that feedback. We are doing that. And thank you to Sally for putting this together at
This is
Windsor on
the
Air.
Windsor Town Democratic
Well, I
Committee,
would-
not Sally.
Well,
Sorry.
you're here, I was going to get to that part, but I went to Windsor on Air first and was gonna come back to the Democratic Party for putting this together, but you're the one that organized it, Sally, in their name. So thank you very much. Thank you for everyone coming on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, so,
Thank you very much.
good, thank you.